Now we're going to create 4 images with text in different borders, and in order to show you this, we're going to do some copying of layers and some layer manipulation, and I'm going to introduce you guys to a few other new commands. So here we go. First thing that I want to do is we have Castle Bench done. I'm going to turn off Castle Bench and we're going to look at Castle Hill now. Okay, so obviously I don't want Castle Bench in this one, so I'll turn that off as well. Okay, I don't really like this frame in this one either. I may want a frame that has a different color other than red. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to copy this layer by highlighting it and right clicking, okay, not on the word itself but on the actual layer itself, okay, someplace in the blank blue area here that's highlighted. So right clicking on that, I'm going to come up here and say duplicate layer, okay, and it will create a frame 1 copy. Okay, in this case here we're going to call it frame 2. Okay, so it creates frame 2. Now I'm going to turn off frame 1, and basically I'm going to go into my effects here and I'm going to turn off the color overlay, and under pattern overlay I'm going to change this to something else. Okay, we'll use this sand kind of pattern maybe, and change the scale of it a little bit. Maybe, yeah, it doesn't look good. Let's kind of, yeah, something like that. It's good enough. Just so that we know there's a difference between the two. So we have another frame now, okay, and now I want to put the text in here again. So what I can do here, even though Castle Bench is turned off, I can make a copy of this so that I don't have to go through the sizing and the colorization and all that stuff again. So I can just right click on this and duplicate this layer, and we'll just call it Castle Bench copy. That's good for right now. We'll turn it on, okay, and using my move tool I'll move this up to here, okay, and I want this to kind of bend kind of in the corner over here. So this one's going to be Castle Hill. So we'll double click on the layer thumbnail itself where the capital T is. So we'll double click on that, and we'll come up here to this arc, and we're going to change the horizontal and the vertical distortion, and we're going to bend this like this, and we'll move it down. Okay, and I want it kind of rotated, but I'll show you how to do that here in a second. So I'll kind of do something like this, hit OK. Obviously we don't want it to say Castle Bench, so I want to change the way that it reads. So notice when I bring my cursor, I'm in the move tool, okay, when I bring my cursor up, it changes to the little eye beam that lets me place my cursor right there, so I can kind of like click and drag Castle Bench and call it Castle Hill. Okay, I'll accept that change. Okay, and now one thing I want to show you, under the move tool we have transform controls turned on. We know how we can size this, right? We can move it, we can size it, okay, but we can also, when I bring my cursor up to the corner here and I pull it away just a little bit, notice that my cursor changes to this little rotational handle. So with that now set, I can click and hold and drag, and I can rotate my text. Okay, so then I can kind of move it over here. Okay, so we can say Castle Hill like this, and I'll accept that change. One thing I'd like this to do is maybe have a drop shadow this time, so I'm going to just go into effects, double click on this and say drop shadow. Okay, click on drop shadow. The thing with drop shadows is that you can actually move them. So when drop shadow is highlighted in blue, I can come over here to my text, click and hold and drag, and you can see this is my drop shadow, so I can kind of move that where I want to put it. So maybe I kind of want it like that. So castle, so it looks like it's kind of sitting on top of the picture. Just a different type of effect. You don't have to do that. Again, it's just something that I'd like to do. Okay. So now that we have this done, okay, we have Castle Hill now, okay. What if I want to see Castle Bench again? What do I have to do? Well, I have to do a whole lot of layer manipulation by turning things on and off again, right? So I have to do things like turn off Castle Hill, turn on Castle Bench, turn off the frame 2, turn on frame 1, and turn on Castle Bench again. So we're back to there, okay? There's an easier way to do this, and there's something called layer comps. And a comp is something that it's just basically a comparison from one image to another image. It's a way to create or manipulate your layer visibilities, basically is what it is. Positions of text and things like that can also be controlled. So the way to access this is to turn on the layer comp palette, which isn't showing up right now. There's lots of other commands and palettes that are available. So I'm going to come up here to Window, okay, and right now under Window, notice that we have History checked off, Layers checked off, and Properties checked off. That associates to what the tabs currently are open. So you see History, Properties, Layers, History, Layers, Properties, okay. So I want to turn on comps, layer comps right here. So I'm going to check this off, and it brings this up, okay. So when it brought up layer comps, it also brought up something called notes. I don't really need notes right now, so I'm going to close that out. So under layer comps, right now it's very similar in some ways to the layer itself, where you have the trash can for deleting a layer or creating a new layer. And here layer comps have the trash can and creating a new comp. So this works really pretty simply. It does confuse some people because this is sort of an advanced command, but for doing something like this, I think you'll see the benefit, and we'll use this throughout the semester to compare one image state or layer state to another layer state. So whatever you see on your image right now on your screen, if I click this button right now, it's going to create a new layer comp, and I'm going to call this Castle Bench, okay. And I could call this Castle Bench, and I'm going to do an underscore red, okay, because we may do another one with a different color later. So you can apply to the layers the visibility, the position, and the appearance, which is the layer style, okay. So I'm going to just, and I could also add a comment in here and say this is my comp in red, say for instance, and hit OK. Okay, so in here you can see here's the Castle Bench. It has a visibility, it has the note in here, and so on and so forth. So now let's do the other one that we just did, Castle Hill. So I'm going to turn on Castle Hill. I'm going to turn off Castle Bench. I'm going to turn the frame back on, turn that frame off, turn off Castle Bench, and we have Castle Hill. Okay, so again, just like we did before, okay, I'm going to create a new layer comp, and we'll call this one
It's 11 o'clock.
Castle Hill, and hit OK. So what this lets me do is, instead of coming over here and turning layers on and off all the time, I can just basically come over here and click on Castle Bench Red, and it will bring back that layer state. So you could kind of think of layer comps as layer states if you want. It might be easier to think of it that way, but basically it's basically manipulating the layer visibility, so that way if someone's sitting over your shoulder, you can say, well, this is what this image looks like, this is what this image looks like, and so on and so forth. So we'll finish this up and put in the remaining ones. So layer comps, I'm going to just kind of dock over here. I'll put it up in here like this and put it over like that. Okay, so that it's in our docked panel over here. So what I'll do, and for your exercises, you're going to create 4 layer comps and 4 images. So I can turn off Castle Hill, okay, like that. And I like this border for this one, so I'm going to duplicate my text again. So we'll duplicate this layer, Castle Hill copy, turn it on, and double click on it, highlight it. This one here is going to be Castle Fog. And just to keep things simple, we'll leave it alone like that. So here's Castle Fog. I'm going to create a layer comp for that. Call it Castle Fog. Alright. I'll turn off Castle Fog, and now we can see we have to scroll our layers because we're getting so many of them. Maybe I'll turn off that frame and turn this frame back on, and we'll turn on Castle Geese. Okay. And under Castle Geese, I don't really like the way that frame looks, so I don't like that color overlay. We'll kind of maybe do something like that. Okay. And we'll duplicate Castle Hill here. So we're going to duplicate this layer, turn it on, double click on that, highlight it. So instead of Castle Hill, this is going to be Castle Geese. Okay, and we'll move this someplace else. I'm going to put it down about like here, and I think I'll rotate this. Oh, I didn't get rotate. Hold on. There we go. We'll rotate it like this, and then I'll position it up here like that. Close enough. Accept it. And we'll create our layer comp. Alright, so now we have Castle Geese, Castle Fog, Castle Hill, Castle Bench Red, Castle Geese. Okay, and notice what's happening here between Castle Geese and Castle Bench Red here. Okay, this one here that's red, notice that this layer comp, is using the same frame as Castle Geese is, but on this one we turned off that effect. And because when we created this, we made sure that appearance was checked off. If that wasn't checked off, that wouldn't happen. So you got to make sure of that. So now that we have this all done, we're pretty much done with the assignment. We've created 4 images. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And at any given time, if you actually change something, say for instance we moved this, we move it up like here. Okay. Notice that now this doesn't have this little icon right here. Okay, so if I click on Castle Geese, it'll go back to there, and it didn't update. Okay, so notice that my current comp has this little icon here. When I do a edit and move something, notice that changed that. If I want to update this to be this new comp, all I have to do is click this little button right here, which updates my layer comp. So now when I do that, and I go over to Castle Fog and back to Castle Geese, that change has been done. So next I'm going to show you guys how to take these images and extract them out to files.